Hello, I'm Adrian Rochella, bringing you this edition of the Arts Quarter from the Helpman Awards at the Sydney Opera House, where Australia's stars of the stage gathered to celebrate the best in the business. It's been wowing audiences and critics, and now the Helpman judges. Mary Poppins won a record 8 out of 12 nominations, including Best Musical and Best Female. Verity Hunt Ballard says its appeal lies in its timeless story of old-fashioned morals.
I think in an age of information technology, and we're in a speedy kind of age at the moment, it's nice to come back to good old-fashioned family values and a story about an average dysfunctional family that needs a little bit of help from somebody that flies in.
It's very surreal right now. I was in a category with the most amazing man, and to be up there with people like Anthony Waller, someone who I grew up watching and going, I just want to be like that when I get older. To be in a category with him was an honour in itself. So to walk away with this statue is incredible.
The Phantom sequel, Love Never Dies, also did well with 3 awards.
Spare a thought for those musicals that didn't quite make the cut for the nominations. Kiss Me Carbon Kate. Rudd Never Dies. Well, that's assuming the surgery goes according to plan.
Cate Blanchett won Best Actress for Uncle Vanya. She's about to open the play in Washington. And Geoffrey Rush scored Best Actor for Belvoir's Diary of a Madman, which he took to New York.
The great achievement of peaking here and then being able to take things across the Pacific and beyond the global stage was really special.
Tony Lamond, Jill Perryman and Nancy Hayes were honoured for a lifetime of achievement.
It's wonderful. I thought the time was over for the prizes in my career, so it's come out of left field for me and it's doubly thrilling.
Yeah. What about you, Jill?
I felt that too. I felt as though, look, we've gone about as far as we can go now. Let everybody come along. But it's quite experience what's happened, you know.
And Nancy?
Well, I was really overwhelmed when we got out on that stage tonight. It was just this roar of people. It was really, we were all very tearful.
Yes.
Yes. And for me to be standing on that stage with these 2 ladies.
Oh, darling,
back
at you, Nan.
Goodness me.
And the records were tumbling. Opera star Emma Matthews now has more Helpman awards than any other performer. So you go into the Helpman record books tonight.
I know, it's so cool. It's number 6. I'm very thrilled.
And Best Dance Work went to Brisbane outfit The Expressions Dance Company. It's been more than 20 years since Australian director Fred Skepsey made a movie here. Now he's back with a project he said scared the hell out of him. It's the big screen version of Patrick White's Nobel Prize-winning book The Eye of the Storm, starring Geoffrey Rush and Judy Davis.
Can't you see our mother's completely gaga?
This is one unhappy, dysfunctional family. Judy Davis and Geoffrey Rush are siblings trying to secure the inheritance of their unloving, dying mother.
You're at a difficult age for a woman, that's all.
No, Mother. That's not it. It's the relentless, utterly predictable nature of your ferocious assaults.
Director Fred Skepsey says it was a daunting task honouring the Nobel Prize-winning book The Eye of the Storm by Australian Patrick White.
Scared the hell out of me. Yeah, 600 pages, and you got to condense that down and do it justice to what would virtually turn out to be 100 compact pages.
How long since your last employment?
I have several irons in the fire in the West End. One especially exciting.
Rush's character, Sir Basil, is a knighted, struggling actor.
But I also had to maybe partly make it slightly semi-autobiographical, but, you know, playing my own profession, there were certain areas of overlap that I had a familiarity with, and then I could find in my own story what connections I would have with Basil's.
We're talking about my baby daughter.
The last time Fred Skepsey shot a film in Australia was with Meryl Streep, who played Lindy Chamberlain in Evil Angels. He says he's tried to get other films up since then, but the financing kept falling over.
So you got to keep going, so you take the next project where you actually have the money and are going to get paid, and you do that. Suddenly it's 22 years, you know.
Skepsey says he hopes it won't be another 22 years between Aussie films. It's not just cinema that's fond of adapting books. Opera's been doing it for hundreds of years. The classic American tale of Mice and Men is the latest to get the operatic treatment under the direction of film legend Bruce Beresford. Scott Bevan reports.
This was a superb opera. I mean, it's so strong, it's very dramatic. And Carlyle is something of a poet as well as being a composer of, I think, genius.
He may have made his name in film, but right now Bruce Beresford is pursuing two of his other great passions, words and music. And sharing that with the acclaimed director is Carlyle Floyd, the creator of the opera of Mice and Men, who's flown out from Florida for its Australian premiere.
You know, I think I said to you at the time, I said, if we do this in Australia, you've got to come out here, because he'd never been to Australia anyway.
I think that was part of the agreement.
The journey of bringing the tragic tale of two friends in 1930s California to the Sydney stage in 2011 began in earnest in a rehearsal studio weeks earlier.
So this is where it begins, is it?
Yes, well, what I do is I go through the libretto and I listen to the music, and then I say to myself, well, I'm in the audience and I'm watching it on stage, what do I want to see? And so I sketch out all the moves and try and work out the compositions. It's pretty rough drawing, but it helps me. I do the same with films.
We caught them and we shot them on the Rule 303.
Bruce Beresford has developed his vision through 28 films, including Driving Miss Daisy and Mao's Last Dancer.
Took me from my family.
He's also directed operas around the world, including the 2007 Australian premiere of another classic American story put to melody, A Streetcar Named Desire. After Streetcar's success, Beresford scouted for another opera project, and he found it in Floyd's Of Mice and Men.
He's done an adaptation which is extremely skillful and very melodic. You know, people tend to shy away from a lot of modern operas because they sound a bit like someone's dropped something in a kitchen cutlery on the floor. But this one is basically a melody-based opera.
This is the 8th time Anthony Dean Griffey has played the childlike but dangerously strong Lenny.
Oh, I feel cold inside.
The American tenor loves not only the role, but the opportunity it provides for him to call on real-life experience when he worked at a camp for people with special needs.
Being on my feet, 9-10 hours with all types of children and adults, from Down syndrome to autistic, severe and profound. It just, little did I know it would pave the way to one day that I would sing the role of Lenny and of Mice and Men.
The production is transferred from the studio to the Sydney Opera House. There may be a sad finale on stage, but for Carlyle Floyd, the Beresford take on his creation holds a happy ending for him.
He's exceeded himself. I just am extremely happy with what I've seen. Very, very happy.
Thank goodness.
AC/DC fans were in for a treat with a new musical honouring Bon Scott, the original lead singer of the Australian supergroup. It continues the recent surge of the rock musical genre, as Stephanie Corsetti reports.
Bon Scott's powerful vocals helped put AC/DC on the international music scene, but the beginnings of his musical career were a bit more humble. Scott played the recorder in the psychedelic rock band Fraternity and was also in a pipe band, recognising his Scottish heritage. Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be is the story of Bon Scott. Singer Nick Barker, who stars in and narrates the musical, says he didn't want to impersonate Scott.
I'm a huge fan of Bon Scott and AC/DC, and I don't take it lightly. I've researched everything that I can, and there's not a lot written about him. There's a couple of good books, but the rest is all just on the internet, and you kind of got to take all that with a grain of salt, really. So I think we've done it with due reverence and due kind of diligence.
First-time director Brian Nankervis saw AC/DC perform at the Camberwell Town Hall and was amazed by Scott's presence.
His charisma, his voice, that mischievous grin,
the smile, you know, he was great. And he was a good writer. You know, he wrote all the lyrics for the best of, I reckon, I mean, really serious AC/DC fans always believed that the Bond years were the best.
Legendary soul singer Doug Parkinson adds a personal touch to the story. Parkinson toured with Scott and performed with him on the musical television show Countdown. Scott died aged 33 after a night of heavy drinking. AC/DC released their Back in Black record in Scott's honour, and it went on to become one of the biggest selling albums of all time.
When you think of lace, images of a farm truck or a car engine may not spring to mind, but a new exhibition hopes to change that, pushing the boundaries of an art form that rarely gets much attention. Could you spend 300 hours on a single project? American artist Anne Mondro did, painstakingly crocheting steel wire to create this model of an old Ford engine.
To crochet it was a real challenge. To be honest, I proposed it and I had no idea how I was going to fabricate it. And I thought, oh no, now I have to make this.
The artwork earned the top prize of $20,000 in an international competition by Sydney's Powerhouse Museum. The aim was to use any type of material to represent lace in a three-dimensional way. 130 artists from 20 countries were picked as finalists. Elise Benjamin created this copper bodice featuring words that tell her life story.
Some of the words are the words that I felt trapped by when I was growing up. Like had to achieve, and there's success, and then there's the doctor, the dentist, the lawyer.
Some of the art uses multimedia to get the image across. Here, bees are busy creating a virtual lace dress, and visitors can use Tim Shawk's touchscreen to create their own artwork, which will be hung on display.
It is basically a playful way to think about what you might do around lace, and should really encourage a conversation around the table. And as a byproduct, they actually make a piece of art.
This 24-metre net will be hung over George Street later in the year. Of course, there are plenty of lace outfits made from various textiles. The body of this old farm truck has been transformed into art. And what would a lace exhibition be without at least one lace doily? And that's all for now. Join me again for more entertainment news in the Arts Quarter.